You can now get a 30-day trial to experience The Athletic for free. Visit the link in the description below to try it now.
Hello, welcome back to Tifo IRL. I'm JJ Bull, and in this video we're going to talk about Scott McTominay, this guy here, and whether he's actually a defender. Because, you see, he plays as a defender for Scotland. Here he is as a central defender. So for Scotland, he plays on the right side of this back three, which sort of works because the players of Scotland want to get into the team. But could it work for Manchester United? Well, we're going to look and show you why I think no. Also yes, or maybe. One of the main reasons I think people think he's a defender, Scott McTominay that is that he is tall. Therefore, he's a good defender, because that's what happens in football, right? You're tall, you go at the back, you can head stuff away, or you're a striker, you can head balls into the goal. That's what you do. But McTominay is a box-to-box, ball-winning midfielder. He is there to break up play in the middle of the pitch. He can run from box to box to help support with attacks and in defence, but protects the defence. Things that let him down are his passing ability, his defensive positioning. Can't really hit cross-field balls very well. Doesn't have a great cross on him. Technique basically is what, like, he's a good Premier League level player, but he's a bit more like N'Golo Kante than, I don't know, Pirlo. He's not that sort of player. He's a box-to-box energy player. So when you look at the way he plays for Man United, his passes tend to be very much like this, very short, mostly sideways. If they do go forward, it's never more than about 5-10 yards. He doesn't really fire any of these sorts of passes into someone up the pitch to try and break through lines. That's not his game. And so what he tends to do actually is take the ball and run with it. And one of his best performances this season for Man United has been against Leeds, where because they play a man-to-man system, the marking system that Leeds play, I should say, he's able to get away from his marker and just barge into the box, making underlapping runs, getting on the end of passes so he can sort of help out that way in attack. But defensively, he can be caught out of position because he makes these runs, and even in positioning when they're trying to build out from the back, McTominay's not the best. What he tends to do is hide behind. Say this is a team trying to build out or trying to press Man United from the back, and they're playing a back three now at the moment. The ball will go around here, and McTominay should be dropping into these spaces to help with pressure, but someone cover shadows him, so he's blocked. The ball can't go into him, and so it has to go somewhere else, and then someone else pushes up on Fred, and they kind of block him in. United aren't very good at building out from the back, and one of the reasons is that McTominay, his positioning isn't particularly amazing, but he makes up for it with his athleticism. Now, if we look at how he plays for Scotland and what this brings, so if you play McTominay here, you don't play him in the midfield. You got Gilmour playing as a 6 at the moment, which is the kind of thing you want to come deep and be in the positions that McTominay doesn't do for Man United, where he picks the ball up from deep to progress play. You can put him in midfield here, but then you lose one of Scotland's two best players in McGinn or Callum McGregor. So that's straight away is a bit of a problem. So how do you fit him in the team? You put him in defence, because when Scotland are playing against worse teams, in theory you should be able to push up and he can move into midfield. So you put the two strikers up here like this. You've got your wing backs, Robertson and Nathan Patterson's in the team now. And that should be your wing backs. So you get crosses into the box for your two big lads. I'll give them a cross. So you see what I'm talking about? This sort of thing here. Oh. Then you've got McGinn attacking from deep, mostly in a sort of 10 position. And then McGregor and Gilmour kind of hold the rest of the pitch here, very much as like a 5-2-1-2 or a 5-1-2-2 formation. Then you have Tierney, Hendry. This is the last game that Scotland played against Faroe Islands. This is what you can do. Now, Tierney is always wanting to get from this sort of position to either underlap Robertson here or overlap him, so Robertson can move inside here as well. And this is the thing, if Tierney goes, then suddenly that leaves you with just Jack Hendry and McTominay, and you've got someone who's not defensively sound, like positioning-wise, doesn't know exactly where to be and when. That could be a problem if there's a turnover and a team counterattacks, and Scotland's seen this before. But also, McTominay wants to push up, and the whole point for having him here is that he can move into midfield and help squash a team in. But then Tierney's got to stay, because you can't have both of them going at the same time. One of the things you can see from McTominay is an example against Israel. This is in September 2020. Is that McTominay's round about here when the ball turns over, and as Scotland retreat and Israel, who are the white team here, push up and try and counter-attack, you can see that he doesn't know quite where he's meant to be and when. He's looking around to try and follow it, and so because he's a central midfielder normally, he makes a sort of run backwards to the middle of the pitch. So he runs back here because that's where he knows to defend. That's what he knows what to do. By the time Scotland get back to this sort of position, he's got to set up. He hasn't quite recovered to this right centre-back position, so in doing so, the right wing-back in this game has to sort of cover for him as well. So there's often a space between these two guys here, because McTominay doesn't know just exactly when to fill in and give you your three. So that's one of the problems. But what Israel were able to do is they would target this sort of zone. So they would focus play on one side of the pitch around about here. See, this is them on the right. I've got too many arrows now. Let's delete some of them. Gives them some sort of semblance of a shape as well. So Israel will try and focus, kind of play on this side of the pitch, to then be able to switch it to someone alone who would walk into the space between McTominay and the wing-back. The wing-back's normally pushed up high. Either this side, the blind side of McTominay, or to try and get in front of him. Because although he's tall, he's not amazing in the air. He doesn't win all of his battles, so that's one thing to look out for. But you can even see it in the way they read it. So they put the ball into one side here, Israel are attacking, Scotland fall back into their back three, Patterson's back here. And the ball comes over, McTominay ends up in the middle of the pitch rather than holding his position at right centre-back, and tries to reach a header, which he misses, which lands with an Israel player, who then gets a shot away at the back post. They don't score it, but it's a real big thing. Steve Clarke talks about how you can be caught in these sorts of positions. Now, in training, you can learn your positioning and your technique and know when to go. But when you get into real difficult situations where you have to react instantly and to what you know, that's where natural defenders become very, very valuable. Even Kieran Tierney can make mistakes in this sort of situation. He's played centre-back for a lot of his career, but not all the time. So you put someone like Grant Hanley in, you've got someone who isn't as good a footballer as Scott McTominay, but knows the position better, so is able to be better equipped to deal with this sort of focused crossing or diagonal balls into where he is. Now, if you put it into Manchester United, like this, and say you take Lindelof out, you could put McTominay in here, that would allow you to play someone like Paul Pogba in centre midfield with Fred. This kind of makes sense. You'd have Varane, Maguire, McTominay, and then when United push up the pitch, and often they have the better team, they could get Ronaldo, Cavani, Fernandes into these positions, Wan-Bissaka on the right. You could get Shaw up here as well. Then you've got Fred doing Fred bits where he shuttles around. Pogba can join in to help with Fernandes on either side of this midfield kind of bit here. And McTominay can join in to help either make underlapping runs here, because Varane and Maguire could easily sit as a two with Fred and Pogba here. And that might be an option they've got. But when the possession turns over and United have to defend, McTominay is the one who's got to be ready to get back into position, and he doesn't know it. So until McTominay plays at centre-back for Man United, I don't think he's going to be quite good enough for Scotland in difficult situations that you need to be as a centre-back. But he's not really a centre-back, and so shouldn't play there for Man United in the first place. So to answer the question whether Scott McTominay is a defender, the answer is, I don't know.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic brings you the best sports journalism in the world in a personalised experience, connecting you with the stories and teams that you care about the most. There's coverage of 13 sports, plus direct access to world-class journalists through live Q&As, discussions and podcasts. Not to mention, it's all ad-free. And you can try it now for free for 30 days by clicking the link in the description.